Hello and welcome back to another video. Today here again on Forza Horizon 5 to take a look at another brand new addition to the Forza series, which is this Hyundai N Vision 74. To obtain this vehicle, all you have to do is complete 80 points of the overall festival playlist, which you can see I've done here in the series tab, which is actually possible in the first week in summer season if you do absolutely everything, including the stuff on the expansions and also some of the daily challenges, which is how I've been able to get it in this first week of the playlist. So what on earth actually is this thing? It's an electric concept car, supposedly inspired by an old Hyundai concept of some sort. It looks suspiciously like a DeLorean to me though. Maybe that's just after seeing them side by side in the playlist overall prizes tab for the last week. Not that it's necessarily a bad thing, this Hyundai does look incredibly cool, and fits the retro wave theme of this series perfectly. It produces 671 horsepower and many torques, as is often the case for electric cars. For some reason though, it puts all of this through the rear wheels, just like that stupid Volkswagen we got a while back, and being electric, it is unnecessarily heavy, weighing in at nearly 2.5 tons in total, giving an overall rating right at the top of A at 799 here in Horizon 5. Being a concept car, unfortunately that means we do only have one manufacturer colour, as you probably expect. You may have noticed though that we do have advanced painting groups. So if we go onto group 1 and I paint it black for example, so show you this, and then we make group 2 something super bright, you can see it does the edges of the wing mirrors. But that's not all, it also does this little surround at the back. So you can make quite a cool paint scheme quite quickly, although personally I really like the sort of brushed aluminium, so I'm going to stick with that. Over in the upgrade shop though, there is actually more than I expected. There's not loads, but you can upgrade your motor and battery, giving the car 992 horsepower. You can also all-wheel drive swap it. I'm not quite sure why it isn't from standard, being an EV, but there we go. You can also, surprisingly, change the aero and do a wing delete, which brings it up right to the top of A-Class at 800, which is very intriguing. Apart from that though, it's pretty much as you'd expect. It's on sport tyres from standard, so you can put semi-slicks and all your usual other compounds on, increase your tyre widths and track widths, put a race driveline on to reduce weight, change your diff. I will quickly put the driveline on so that I can show you how much weight you can take out. There is of course also your brakes, your suspension and your anti-roll bars. But if we go with full weight reduction for a second, you can see that weight comes down to under 2 tons, which is still very heavy, but it's quite a substantial weight reduction. Having a stock rating of 799, I was incredibly tempted to take this into A-Class Open without any upgrades, and thought about maybe just removing the wing to make it up to A800, but instead did go and look for a tune like I usually do, and stumbled across this K1Z Bard A-Class tune, with stock power output but marginally less weight than the car had from standard, and with that applied I headed into Horizon Open. I managed to join for the first race of an adventure, which was filled with only sprint routes, starting at the Panoramica Sprint, which, despite this car not feeling great, struggling particularly to accelerate off the line, went quite well, and I ended up with a second place finish, mostly because a load of other cars decided they wanted to drive into walls for some reason. The second race was the Marigold Sprint, and despite a load of cars crashing at the beginning, I didn't end up with quite as good a result as at that first race, with a 4th place finish in the end. And the third and final race was the Linea Costera Sprint, where I was crashed into a lot by a well-known sushi delivery vehicle, which ended up sending itself sideways into a wall. In the end though, it was another 4th place finish for the Hyundai, so it's really not that great, probably unsurprisingly, for a heavy electric vehicle with barely any PI to play with when upgrading it in A-Class at least, and anything faster just isn't as enjoyable. Just like the Countach that we looked at the other day then, at the end of the racing I set the Hyundai back to standard. And that is going to do it for a very first look at this Hyundai concept car here in Forza Horizon 5. And just like the Countach we took a look at the other day, apart from it having this incredibly cool retro look to it, which fits this update's theme perfectly, it's not a terribly useful car. It's a heavy electric thing that for some reason is rear-wheel drive. It's decent to drive standard, but it's not fast, and with upgrades, as we saw, it's not going to be particularly competitive, because being electric, it weighs more than a small planet. But yeah, it is still incredibly cool, so I've set it back to standard, just like I did with that Lamborghini, as a cool-looking car to enjoy in free roam. Do though let me know your thoughts on this brand new addition to the Forza series, and how you're enjoying this update so far. But for today's video, that is going to be all, so thank you very much for watching, and I'll be back with the next one very soon.